Avoiding the criminal justice system and creating a positive future often comes without a roadmap for many in low-income communities. Improve Your Tomorrow is a program that reaches at-risk youth and prepares them for a life of success and future leadership. I'm joined by Improve Your Tomorrow's co-founder, Michael Lynch, Linda Beach Cutler, CEO of the Sacramento Region Community Foundation that has helped fund the program, and program graduate Keylan Newsome, next on Studio Sacramento.
At Five Star Bank, we create thoughtful solutions to help the Capital Region thrive, from economic development and education to public health and safety, issues that are vitally important to Sacramento's prosperity. We're proud to be part of the conversation and hope you'll join in.
Keylan, where would your life be heading today if you hadn't gotten involved with Improve Your Tomorrow?
The honest question is, honestly, I don't know. My story is one that's very typical of an African-American male in South Sacramento community. Born into a single-parent home, raised by a single mom, working multiple jobs, trying to put herself through school. And I was never really a trouble kid, but I had friends that were trouble. You know, I hung around guys that were going to different paths of life that I definitely didn't want to follow.
What do you mean different paths of life?
I have some of my best friends, right, are gang members now. Some of my best friends are incarcerated now, and so from my childhood. And so I couldn't tell you exactly where I'd be. By the time I got to high school, I was on the trajectory to be doing better. But I really had lost faith in education, so I really didn't have any intentions of going to college.
You say you lost faith in education. Did you enjoy education when you were younger and then lost faith?
My mom raised me to value my education. It was a strong emphasis for her because she was going through school for herself, and so I saw that, and so I saw the value in it. And if she was willing to sacrifice as much as she did to put herself through school and try to take care of me, I knew that it came with some value. But by the time I got to high school and kind of came into my own and was beginning to learn the different things that are going on with the education system and post-secondary education.
Yeah, what happened?
I was in a program, and they basically showed us a few news clips and they're talking about kind of students graduated from college with tons and tons of debt and still not finding employment. And that was just part of it. And then from my experience in the education system, going to a South Sacramento school, right, that was part of Elk Grove Unified School District.
What high school?
Valley High School. Going to the South Sacramento school that was in the Elk Grove district, but knowing in the back of my mind, going through my education, that my school didn't look like the other schools in the Elk Grove school district.
What do you mean by that?
The fact that in my school in South Sacramento didn't have the same resources as, say, a school in true Elk Grove. Even though we were in the same district, right? I knew the funds were coming from the same place, but our schools didn't look the same. Our resources didn't look the same. The amount of opportunities that we had didn't look the same. And seeing that along with what I saw was happening at the college level, at our local college at Sac State, I really had lost faith at that point in the education system, and I didn't believe anymore that education was kind of going to be my route to success. It would be something else, and I really didn't decide what I wanted to do.
So, Improve Your Tomorrow comes into play. Mm-hmm. How is it that Keylan found you in the program?
For us, it was trying to make sure we identify young men who had a lot of potential, but who weren't yet accessing that potential. Myself and our co-founder, Michael Casper, went to Valley High School, you know, and we saw a very common trajectory amongst, you know, students who look like Keylan, look like me. A lot of them didn't graduate. If they did, right, they went to the criminal justice system. So we wanted to make sure once we graduated from college, we came back and created something that was long-term, 7th grade, right, to they graduated college, and supported them through wraparound support services. So we wanted to make sure we identified young men like Keylan who had huge potential to do great things, but at that time weren't.
Was there a particular incident or event that inspired you and your co-founder to start this program?
I don't think for us it was any particular incident. It was long-term seeing it. For me, I was really lucky, like Keylan. I was in a single-parent home, right, but I had a dad. I had a dad who was a fighter, right, who was there consistently to push me. My friends didn't. I was one of the few, black men, growing up, right, who I knew who had a dad at home. So there was instances over a long period of time, growing up in Stockton, Sacramento, and seeing, young folks who looked like me not doing well, that aspired over a long time. And my dad was somebody, who was consistently giving back. He wasn't always serving on a board or working a nonprofit, but he was very intentional in making sure that he was constantly serving others.
So, Linda, the foundation has been a supporter of this program. What drew the foundation to supporting this program? Grassroots started out of South Sacramento and actually sticking with it over time.
Well, we got to know Michael and Improve Your Tomorrow as part of the due diligence we were doing for our strategic initiative related to college attainment and completion, and I want to underscore completion. But in doing that, we looked around and we, I think it's no secret that the high school graduation rate, the college acceptance rate, and then college graduation rates, particularly among young men of color, are clearly not where they need to be.
How bad are they?
Bad. I think about 25% of high school graduates are men of color.
Yeah, and to put it even comparison, within the CSU system, for every 2 Black and Latino women who graduate from a CSU, there's 1 Black and Latino man. So there's
really?
There's been a huge gender disparity over the past 2 decades amongst men of color in higher educational attainment.
And when you look at the region and the future of the region, it's important that there be equal access to education for equity purposes, but also, candidly, just for economic development purposes. We want this region to grow. We want this region to grow and have opportunity equally.
Make that connection for us, because I'm not sure that I completely understand.
Well, when you look at when you look at the future of this region and the job requirements and things like the digital economy, exports, what we need to do to build our economy that is more than low-paying wages, our population is not graduating from college and from high school at the rate that it needs to, and again, that discrepancy is particularly true of young men of color. And what we were very intrigued with Michael's program was, first of all, that Michael is from the community that he serves. And he completely understands the challenges that his young men are facing. And he provides the services that really open the doors that are not otherwise open. I mean, when you look at what Improve Your Tomorrow does, it not only identifies young, very high caliber, high potential young men, but also provides academic counseling, family counseling, wraparound services. They go to colleges to look at colleges. They provide mentorship when the kids get into college. And we're very proud of this relationship because I think with the foundation funding, IYT was able to move from Valley into Burbank, which was an incredible opportunity, exactly, I think, to grow IYT. But it also it also was very instrumental in our understanding, because we're learning too, our understanding of how we can be more effective, not just writing checks, but also working with the organizations like IYT, where we can partner to make sure that they're not just growing because we're writing a check, but they're really growing for sustainable growth, long-term sustainable growth in the region.
Keylan, what did the program mean for you?
I think when the program first got to Valley High School, I actually didn't get recruited in the first group, and so many of my friends did.
Hold on. Well, why not?
Yes, a constant, Joe.
So seriously, so I didn't get picked in the first pool, and a lot of my friends were joining. They told me that immediately they were going to college like Stanford and Berkeley. Mind you, the furthest I had been outside of Sacramento at that point was maybe UC Davis, and so immediately hearing of kids that I knew, right, were on the Stanford campus, immediately that drew me in. And I knew Mike from, he had previously coached me during football my freshman year. And so by the time my sophomore year, he had started the program. I knew it was something I wanted to be a part of because I knew what he brought, and I saw the impact it was making already, and just my friends. And so for me, the program really opened my eyes to understand that if there are things I wanted to change, right, about the education system, I would have to go through it first, right? And it's very possible. And I begin to understand ways that I can be effective in getting education and get to a point where I'm able to make an impact in this community and begin to make the changes that I think need to be made.
Now, you're not only a participant, but now you're involved in mentoring and coaching other younger people, right?
Yes. So I'm actually just finishing my third year. I spent 2 years as an academic mentor, and now I'm actually a program director at our Jackman Middle School campus. And so I oversee a team, and I'm able to impact students, right, that came from the very same school that I came from, and experience a lot of the same challenges that I do.
Tell me, what is it that you can say to those young men at Jackman, and they'll hear you, that none of us can?
One, I look like you, right? I come from the same community as you. I still live in the same community as you, right? I've had the teachers you've had, right? And I know what you're going through. I know what your influences are. I know the things that you're hearing and seeing about what people are telling you that you are. And I'm here to tell you that there's a different way. I know you haven't seen a lot of people that look like me come from here, but the fact that I'm here standing before you is proof that it's possible.
And what Keylan has done is, it's important work. Keylan is possibly underestimating his impact. I mean, Keylan has been able to transform lives. You know, being 21 years old, you know, and working for IYT now for 4 years. I mean, it literally transformed hundreds of lives. You know, we see it every day because he passes the students on to me, right, where I'm at Valley High School, and I see, right, the hard work, right, he's doing with these young people in 7th and 8th grade, and then they're coming to me at Valley at 9th and 10th grade. And now these students are honor roll students. I mean,
wow.
Right? I mean,
Yeah, tell us a little bit about your statistics in terms of how many people you serve and what have been the results.
Exactly. So IYT started 5.5 years ago with 17 young men at Valley High School. Now we serve 650 young men of color across the county and college students across the state, and that has largely been a result because of data. 100% high school graduation rate, all of our young men graduate high school, 94% college attendance rate, but most importantly, we have a 92% college retention rate. So we're sending our young men like Keylan right to colleges, and they're not coming back to Sacramento. They're staying where they're at. They're doing well.
Well, we actually want them to come back
once they graduate.
Exactly.
Once they graduate. Yeah, once they graduate.
Well, that's what was so intriguing for us, because the work that we were doing was part of a broader effort to provide a scholarship program as well as wraparound services, with the foundation and some of our partners really supplying the scholarship funds as well as supporting these wraparound services. And to see the long-term impact that Michael's program, just literally in the 5.5 years that he had started it, was what was really a tipping point for us. And we were very proud of the fact that we did, as part of this, just the first cohort of the scholarship program last year was 120 scholarships. 45% of those were for young men of color.
Really?
And this year, where they've just been issued or awarded, I should say, this year, same number, around 120, 57%. Are for young men of color.
And that's an outlier, right? Because like most scholarship programs are 60-40, right? If not 65-35. You know, majority young women, you know, minority young men. So, you know, Linda's team is awesome, right? They have been doing great work, and you know what they have done with IYT has allowed us to scale. Let me
reverse the question back to you, Michael. What has the relationship and partnership with the foundation meant for your scaling up and being able to serve more people?
And first, the funding has been huge because it allowed us to be able to serve more young men of color, but also serve as sustainable. So we can tell a young person, listen, we're going to be here right until you need us, you know, first. And then two, the relationship and the professional development that existed between the foundation with Miss Linda's team and Priscilla at the foundation, helping us really to be able to, you know, to guide IYT through the hurdles that, you know, most nonprofits have to go through as they grow. So both the funding and the professional development.
on the other side, your stamp of approval, I know, must really help. One of the problems that many nonprofits have is that they never can bust through the white noise, so to speak, of all of the clutter of the millions of organizations, and so fine, effective organizations can't really get the help. How does the foundation see its role in elevating and exposing organizations like this?
Well, in this case, finding IYT was very deliberate with some due diligence because of our specific focus in this education initiative. But more broadly, it may not be well known that the foundation is the sponsor of the Big Day of Giving, which does a tremendous amount of capacity building. There's 500 or 600 nonprofits that participate during that day. And as part of that, we do a tremendous amount of training, boot camps on all kinds of just fundamental capacity development. Board engagement, stewardship of donors, et cetera. So through that effort, as well as through just our typical grant program, we really do get a sense and can see where there are capacity building needs for the nonprofit community. So while we are literally working hand in glove with Michael, we're also getting a very good sense of some of the more general requirements that will elevate and strengthen the nonprofit community. So part of our elevating philanthropy in the region is all about capacity building, because it's our belief that the nonprofit sector, the importance of the nonprofit sector, is certainly not going to go away. It's going to be more important, and donors will be more comfortable using their resources if they know that that sector is a strong partner. So that's been a key focus for us.
I want to come back to you, Keylan. When you're working with the young men at Jackman, what is it, and someone is sliding off path, going from being excited about education, involved in their school, to becoming indifferent. What do you usually find are the major factors behind that?
I think a lot of it has to do with their experiences. A lot of them will have poor experiences with the teacher, they have poor experiences with the administration, or some type of faculty, and peculiar to this demographic students that we deal with is a lot of them have very challenging home environments or just community social environments. And so a lot of times you have peer influences from young men that they have from friends in their community, and it leads to them getting discouraged, I think, because we showed them, right, that this is possible, but a lot of our young men are still struggling academically, and so despite us showing them, right, what they're capable of, they still face the reality that I'm still failing in math, and so a lot of it we have to really, some students more than others, we really have to be intentional about guiding them through understanding and through that process of
think about some of the people that you've helped. How do you bring them back if they've basically given up, and are just indifferent or maybe even hostile? This isn't for me. What do you say to them to start to get them to reopen their mind?
What do you want to do with their life? Right? Is that we have to tap into what their dreams are. Right? We know that every kid comes in there with a dream, and some dreams have been kind of shattered, some dreams are a bit broken. But I think we go to what do you want out of life? What do you see for yourself? Do you want to live in this community for the rest of your life? Do you want to create a better life for your family? Right? What is it that you want to accomplish with your life? And we have a very serious conversation with that student, and we talk about their family background and how that motivates them, and say, okay, if you don't do college, right, what is it that's going to get you to where you want to be in life? Because I know there's something you want to do, right, and maybe you just don't believe the education is that way. And so I think through that process, we're able to reignite that passion for their purpose in life, and with that, we're able to use that as motivation. And I think one of the big things that we focus on is we focus on the small wins, right? Sometimes it gets really hard when we look at the big vision, but we make small wins for them. We create goals that they have to achieve, and with those small wins, we can keep them motivated, right? We have trips and things like that that really keeps our guys engaged, that really helps the motivation kind of day to day.
It's important, right? Because it begins with a relationship. Like our young people, like see people committing out their lives, right, consistently. You know, we're intentional about telling them, one, we care about you, we love you, we want to see you succeed, and then using that motivation piece, you know, to bring them to where they want to go. I think just this year, Keylan took his young people to UC Berkeley. You know, spent all day on the campus. Right then, from there, right, they got to see the football game, and that's a big piece amongst our young men. You know, hey, listen, if you do your homework, you show up to study hall, you get to go on these trips, and you know, UC Davis spent the entire day basketball, you know, paintball, they do all these things, but Keylan leads by building a relationship with the young person, then showing them exactly where they can be.
If I could just jump in, we have the opportunity, we do a part of this program that we have with them is called the Summer Institute, where we take a number of our capital area promise scholars, which is what we call the CAPS group, over to Sac State, and we have a 2-day pretty intensive, here's what college feels like, learning about financial aid, et cetera. I love that because I go over and watch it, I say nothing. What I'm struck by, and we've now done it 3 years, is the profound respect that these gentlemen have for these young men.
Wow.
It is, you know, first of all, the respect that these students have for these guys is clear. But what is so profound to me is how mutual that respect is. And I think it's what you just said is that you know these young men. You lived their life, and you know exactly the challenges, and you respect those challenges, and you are patient, and you are respectful. And it's remarkable. It's magic. It is so inspirational for me when I watch this. It really is.
So let's take this a step back and talk about lessons. Many times in the media, this same group of young men are associated with social ills or problems. What is it that the people that are joining us watching this conversation need to know that they probably don't about these young men and what their capability really is?
They want to do better. I mean, they want to be able to help their families and be able to attain a vision for their lives that they see fit. You know, we're very careful about making sure we don't consistently talk about the deficits that exist in our community and the possible trajectory a lot of our young men are on if they don't, go to college and graduate. So we're constantly trying to make sure that we're uplifting them in a passionate way that's symbolic of who they really can be.
And Keylan, go ahead.
I would just add that there's tons of untapped potential. We have young men that have various skill sets and various things that they can bring to major corporations, nonprofits, and various industries that just isn't being tapped into because they lose a dream, they lose sight of their purpose, right, by ninth grade. And so
why is that such a magic year?
I think because that is where the process of a student either being on a trajectory to go to college or not, right? We find that a lot of minority males don't end up A through G eligible, and it starts with the fact that they don't realize that they have to pass every single semester of English, right? They have to pass all their math classes. They have to pass these science classes, and a lot of times after ninth grade year, for a student, it basically fails their first year. Schools will typically put them on a college or high school graduation track that isn't preparing them for college.
We have a young person who's now a sophomore at UC Davis. When he started in the program second semester freshman year, first semester he got a 1.67, right? So this was a student who was clearly going to be on that high school track. Counselors were thinking he wasn't college ready. 3 semesters later, he had a 4.33 GPA.
4.33
GPA, right?
Yeah,
so we talk about his story a lot and other young men who have journeys just like that, because these are the young people, if they didn't have an intervention, like for us, it was IYT in that young person's life. The route they could have taken, their alternative is nowhere near their present.
So why is it that you're able to achieve this and the school system that we pay for as taxpayers can't?
And I think we work in conjunction and partner. You know, teachers and administrators are trying, right? They're trying their best, but sometimes they don't have the cultural knowledge, right, to understand what they can do to motivate a young person, right? So we intentionally bring the culture and exposure and opportunities in conjunction with schools already doing well and partner.
And then finally, what's next for you, Keylan? Tell us about what the future a couple of years from now looks like for you.
Well, hopefully I'll be graduating from Sac State as an econ major this time next year. And being in this work has definitely ignited the fire in me to continue doing so. So I've told Mike multiple times I do intend to continue doing this work. You know, and so this is where my heart really is in education and in uplifting, right, my community and seeing what we can make it.
And I think that that's a good place to rest.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right. And that's our show. Thanks to our guests and thanks to you for watching Studio Sacramento. I'm Scott Syhpax. See you next time right here on KVIE.
At Five Star Bank, we create thoughtful solutions to help the Capital Region thrive, from economic development and education to public health and safety, issues that are vitally important to Sacramento's prosperity. We're proud to be part of the conversation and hope you'll join in.
All episodes of Studio Sacramento, along with other KVIE programs, are available to watch online at kvie.org.